You're just going to leave her? I thought you would convince her to get up and fight to the end. I tried to. There was no option in the dialogue, dude. Not her. She cannot. She won't get up. She has already died inside. Not from the gargoyle's claws, but from the wounds those good knights made in her heart. Soon she will die completely. You and I will remember her, won't we? And we will fight for her as well. The will to live, that's a very interesting topic. There are many examples where there were partners, husband and wife, grandpa and grandma, and they grew up, grew old together. And at some point, I don't know, high in the 70s, 80s, 90s of age, one of them died. And oddly enough, couple weeks, days later, the other one died. As if they lost their will to live. It's just odd that two humans die in such a close proximity to each other, considering that their bodies are usually still working, but without a will to live, it's difficult to exist, I guess. That's something also that people that are ill need. The will to live, the will to fight, the will to go on, the will to march further and to not give up. Not giving up, that's extremely important. Alrighty, continue. Yes, Amber, I promise. Oh. Now I didn't read the last part. Jaeger shakes his head. Commander, I'm not one to advise you, but you're wasting time on this fool, and the gargoyles will soon be back. That's the usual tactics. Fly up, regroup, attack again. I'm going back to my unit now, and I'd advise you not to stay here long either.
Let us press on.
You're irrelevant.
I will protect you with my life.
This was simple enough.
Again, horse armor. Can't be equipped by this character, of course not. So when we will get a... I want a horse. Maybe after Dresden? Even after the attack, the tents at the Hellknight camp are lined up neatly, looking like they're ready for a parade. I mean, this feels like we haven't yet completed the prologue. There are so many major features of a game that aren't available. So is this still a prologue? Is this even Act 2? I mean, how long will this game be? 300 hours? I mean, I love it.
We march ahead. I have managed.
Demonic energy has polluted the earth, creating tumors filled with poison.
Our path leads on.
How am I supposed to go here? Eh? Where the hell not? Am I supposed to leave this map and get to another, or what's up here?
Knight Commander, I presume. Your glory precedes you. I am Reginald de Renge, Herelictor of the Order of the God Claw, and contemporary officer of the joint unit of Hellknights and the Order of the Sunrise Sword. You and your people should take positions. The gargoyles are regrouping. We expect they will attempt to break through in 5 to 6 minutes.
A joint unit?
Forcibly joined. The leader of the Order of the Sunrise Sword was unable to get to safety, which is not surprising, considering his, shall we say, excessive scrupulousness and sluggishness. Given the extreme situation, I took command of his people.
I saw you ordered your own wounded to be finished off.
Indeed. The gargoyles were clearly trying to capture as many prisoners as they could. I don't know the reason behind these abductions, but I'm not about to give the enemy what they want. That is why all my people were ordered not to be taken alive. And as for the wounded, we didn't have time to get them to safety anyway.
Pragmatic, but very cruel.
Can you hear yourself? For the sake of principle, in order not to give the enemy what they want, you killed your own wounded. Helpless subordinates. Why does anyone still follow you?
Because we are Hellknights. We know our duty.
Did you really give just 2 flasks of water to the Knights of the Sunrise Sword suffering from thirst and a sack to use as bandages? Standing behind his commander, Jaeger rolls his eyes.
I spared them the exact volume of resources I could sacrifice without risking my own people. However, the situation has developed, and I've already ordered they be given additional supplies. They are temporarily under my charge, and I can use their forces to rebuff the attack. They'll work for their water.
Jill raises his voice and speaks empathetically, ignoring a whisper coming from a group of Knights of the Sunrise Sword. He seems to be reiterating his position for their benefit. In a place like the World Wound, we all need to stick together, even if that means sacrificing something for a comrade.
Noble Ashes and his Sunrise Swords have already done so. And this is what it led to.
Good. You won't get away with this.
We can discuss our differences as soon as the gargoyle problem has been resolved. Speaking of which, here they are.
I like the voice actor doing this.
Quickens.
Virgil gracefully stows his weapon and places his hands behind his back. You two, check the area. Mark any potential shelters that offer protection against aerial attacks. Quartermaster, inventory the remnants of the camp. I want to make sure the gargoyles only abducted people and weren't interested in anything else. That's very considerate. I mean, just because they are abducting people, it could be a diversion, it could be a ruse to divert the attention from what they really want. Clever one, this Virgil. She sent messengers immediately to our scout squads and ordered them to return to camp. And I need a full list of casualties. The sooner, the better. Turns to you and nods slightly. Commander, your arrival was well timed. Now we can finally talk. I'm quite interested in the events that occurred at the Grey Garrison, and I suppose you have questions for me as well. What do you want to know about what happened at the Grey Garrison? Let's give him first what he wants, since we want him to join the crusade. Any shift in the balance of power during this war has a direct impact on my mission. If a new player appears who is capable of fighting demons effectively, then I'm ready to support that person with all the resources I have at my disposal. Regil speaks pensively, as if talking to himself. But naturally, I cannot blindly trust a stranger, even one marked by the gods. You have every right to doubt. I usually don't trust strangers either. So we understand each other. Thank you, Commander. Regil nods. Regil, more to himself than to you. Is there anything you'd like to know before we move on to more serious issues? No. What are Hellknights doing here, within the borders of the World Wound? The same as you and your army. Fighting a war against the demons. The Hellknights have always been a part of the Crusades from the very beginning. We don't answer to Queen Galfrey and we act on our own authority, but we serve the common cause. Discardi's spawn have no place in the world we want to build. Regil barks out the final words. What does Paralictor mean? I am the commander of this unit, and in the Order's hierarchy I am 2 steps lower than its leader. In the territory of Mendev and the World Wound there are few who equal my rank, but I am the most senior Hell Knight officer for many leagues around. We are not done talking about your atrocities. Of course. Paralictor doesn't seem hurt or surprised. If you wish, I will explain my position in detail. All the soldiers killed at my order belong to my unit. Therefore, the case is an internal matter for the Order of the Godclaw. You could have sent an appeal to the Order commanders, but the result is inevitable. Not only do the Order's rule and field operation guidelines not prohibit it, they even recommend a policy of death if preferable to captivity. So everything that happened, though it is surely lamentable and has deprived me of a few good fighters, is also a prime example of military necessity. Well, of course. Atrocities don't matter if you have a piece of paper that says committing atrocities is allowed. The Nazis want to know your location. It's actually an interesting topic. After the war ended, the Second World War, there were thousands of judges and policemen and other people in the German society. And then the world came and said, you committed terrible crimes. And then the judge came and said, well, yes, I did sentence a gay to death, but that was the rule of law. And in that sense, he was right. Hitler made laws that gave judges the right to sentence innocent people to death. So that was a very difficult thing to say that they committed crimes, since they simply adhered to the laws of their country. And that is, or that was, when, you could say the world, but it was merely the Great Britain and France and Russia and the US, when prosecutors decided to command upon natural right, universal human rights, that there are some atrocities, some laws, some rules that evil that they cannot under no circumstances be accepted, and that every human with a mind and a brain that is functioning should have known better and should not have heeded these laws. So in the end, many of these people who just followed laws were still punished, because the laws in themselves were evil. But it wasn't easy to do that, and it took quite some time and a lot of talking. So that's quite an interesting topic. I cannot influence your internal rules, but I hope you understand where the jurisdiction of your order ends and ours begin. I'm not trying to force our rules on Crusaders, Commander. I hope you won't try to make us disregard ours. If the incident is settled, I suppose we can return to relevant matters. What are you going to do now, after the gargoyle attack? I will wait for my remaining fighters to return. What you see here is only a small part of my forces. As for my long-term plans, that depends on the results of our conversation, Commander. Regil narrows his eyes. Before we move on to serious subjects, I'd like to address an organizational issue regarding my unit. You may wish to be present. Jaker steps forward and salutes with a clenched fist to his chest. Paralictor, permission to report. During the first gargoyle attack, I determined it necessary to leave my post. I swam over the river, found the commander's army, and asked them to provide assistance. Regil nods. Reinforcements were much needed. You will earn a double salary for your resourcefulness, Jenker, and 100 lashes for abandoning your post. The young knight grows a little pale, but immediately salutes again. Yes, Paralictor. Say nothing. Regil, who has watched you closely throughout the entire conversation, nods to himself. Now, for a more delicate issue, you, Commander, were interested in our dispute with the Knights of the Order of the Sunrise Sword, correct? Their forces in Cannabis suffered great losses in the demonic attack. Now their leader has perished and his troops are in trouble. They are reeling with no command structure. Their order will hardly be able to recover from the losses they've suffered. What are you getting at? These fighters aren't the finest material I worked with, but if I assume formal command over them, I'll be able to reforge them into weapons of reasonable quality. 1 or 2 might even become true Hellknights. The rest will be put to good use as well. You have already shown that you will easily sacrifice these people. Use them as living shields for your precious knights. I won't let that happen. Let them join my army. At least I don't treat my soldiers as expendables. Well then, we both have arguments to make. Let's see what these orphans say. Regil looks at the warriors in white and yellow, shifting cheerlessly from one foot to another. Initiates of the Sunrise Sword, your leader is dead. The Order has suffered serious losses and will not be able to recover, because I say so. You may return to Mendev to join another Crusader Order, and hope that they don't meet the same fate as the Sunrise Sword. Or you may remain under my command. I will not promise that it will be easy, or that our war-making will be constricted by your principles. What I can promise is this. Under my command, you will never again feel like helpless mice in the talons of a ravenous raptor. Camellia scoffs. He's used to people following his orders. Then again, these sniveling cowards are used to humiliating treatment. They won't even consider testing him a little. What would you do in their position? Challenge the gnome in black to a duel and make him prove himself worthy of command? I would never end up in their position. Does that mean we've worked off the precious resources you spent on us? Water, medicine and bandages, yells one of the knights in white and yellow. I wouldn't make such an offer if I thought you were useless garbage. Sunrise Sword Priestess. The initiates of the Sunrise Sword consult with each other for a time, and then one of them, a young woman in knight's armor, steps forward. Your methods of warfare and your treatment of your allies goes entirely against our ideals, Paralictor. Commander Morgraine has already said to you everything that should be said. We've decided to follow the commander in his march on Dresden. As you wish. It's difficult to tell from Regil's face whether he's disappointed or not. Well then, Commander, let's proceed to the main question and then put an end to this exhausting conversation. We should discuss the cooperation between your forces and my own. We do share a common enemy and a common battlefield. Perception check passed. You're looking at me strangely, Paralictor. When we discussed Jaker's punishment, and when we were deciding the fate of the Sunrise Sword, it's as if you are testing me. Regil lowers his head in a gesture that might be read as respectfully. I do not believe I made any attempt to conceal my interest in you, both as strong leader in the region and as the bearer of a highly unusual power. Of course, I'd like to know what's inside your head. One could say that is my duty. My army and I are going to Dresden to free the city from demons. You can join forces with us. The problem right now is they might be slightly immoral creatures, but they are very capable fighters and we need to fight back a demonic horde, so we have to work at the edges of what's acceptable right now. My army and I are going to Dresden. Yes, yes. Reginald rubs his chin pensively. Dresden? An ambitious goal, but most reasonable. Imagine how such a victory would rally all the separate bands of today's crusaders under one banner. And we certainly need a base of operations inside the world wound. I stand ready to support you. Moreover, I can accompany you in your campaign. However, I would remind you that Hellknights are outside of Mendev's jurisdiction. My unit and I will join your forces and obey your orders, but only for as long as I deem that our goals coincide. I like his eyes. They are still bright. Neither the darkness nor the paleness has taken them. For now. Hell no. We don't need the likes of these black-armored statues. I don't want to fight side by side with someone who slit my throat if I'm weak and wounded. You can't defeat one evil by inviting an equal, but slightly more organized evil into your ranks. Slightly more organized than the demons? I consider that an insult. It's a deal. We need them. Yes, Commander. My forces and Reginald Derenge are at your disposal. Will be done. I mean, I like him. I want his commentary. He has interesting comments to make. So who are we going to throw out? We'll decide that one later. Alrighty, so everyone's gone. Mobility. What do we have here? Ring. Wonderful. The skeleton of a man wearing armor from the time of the First Crusade is holding the skeleton of a child with strange proportions and animal paws instead of his right arm and leg. Oh no. Yeah. Sunrise Sword Crusader, hello there. What's up with you? You're still alive! Praise be Soren! What? That's it? What is that? Is he a demon? I don't know. It's an odd fellow for sure. Well, we're done here. Now we have more allies. Bane. All enemy units receive a minus penalty to attack for 3 rounds. Bless. Every unit gains attack. Target unit ignores up to 3 points of damage reduction for 3 rounds. Pit trap. Let's go with Bless. Since if we have an overwhelming numbers, that will be more useful. Okie Demon Army, Crusader Army. There we are. We're going for the primitive altar. And as a story for the next episode.